We're at the Dragonfly house, a Chuckanut Builders project north of Seattle, and this is Jake Land. And Jake is one of the workers on this project, and we're talking about fire resistance, and specifically what they've done on this project to make sure that this house doesn't start on fire when the Canadian Rockies start burning. Now, Jake, we've got a lot of details about this project that are really about durability and longevity and sustainability, but part of sustainability is really about having your house not start on fire. And the selection of materials and the design has been really incredible. And one of those, and kind of the coolest thing, is this wood. So tell us a little bit about this wood. First of all, what's it called? And then why is this a good wood siding for the outside of the building to resist fire?
Yeah, so this is Shou, which is pre-charred, so it's been burned already.
Okay, so the surface of it has been burned.
Yep.
Okay.
Burned and brushed in this case. You can get it in various levels of char.
Okay.
And this is a light charring, so you get the beautiful aesthetic of a burned cypress, but also with some fire resiliency.
Why is this more difficult to start on fire than like a non-charred wood? So it has to do with the fact that the wood is actually already oxidized, and when something burns, the heat oxidizes and volatilizes the chemicals in the wood, and it's actually the chemicals that are volatile, the gases that come out of the wood, that are what start on fire. So you're not actually burning solid wood, you're burning the gases that come out of superheating wood. So when you already volatilized it, you've already gotten rid of that top layer. And so the top layer of char acts as an insulation and reduces the amount of heat that actually gets to the underlying wood. So it's a really good material, and it's a completely natural product.
Yep.
Okay, so we also are surrounded by pretty much one of the best views I've ever seen on any project. I mean, this is just incredible. I mean, we see Mount Baker up there, like the third row. It's like we have nothing but space around us. Tell us a little bit about this site.
Yeah, so initially, years back, this site was clear cut. It was fully forested, but part of the vision is to be regenerative and to have natural plantings. But as far as fire resiliency, that's definitely intentional with the landscape design, where there's not going to be big trees right next to the building.
So separating the house from massively flammable chunks of material, whether it's a pile of wood or trees or big tall brush that's dry. We've got this big flat area that's surrounded by grass. It looks to me like it's natural grass, so they're not using a ton of water to water it. And it's basically this defensible space, which is so important. And unfortunately, in Altadena and the Pacific Palisades in California, there were houses in neighborhoods that were packed up against each other. Super expensive land, the houses right next to each other, the houses are all flammable materials. And so that wood on those houses and on the roofs of those houses went up and caught the next neighbors on fire and caused a ton of embers to come off of those houses, which then caught other houses on fire much farther away. So you guys have actually done some extra work on this project with the venting on the roof. So what did you guys use for the underside of the eaves to reduce ember intrusion?
Yeah, so here in the Pacific Northwest, we need to have a vented roof because of the moisture levels we have. But we're using a Vulcan vent, which under heat has a reaction to close off so that it's airflow.
So the idea being the Pacific Northwest is that we get a ton of water here. So we're like developing multiple redundant waterproofing barriers and membranes. And the metal roofing should last forever. It should be completely watertight. But if you get wind-driven rain or snow or something like that, you've got this vented roof that's going to take all that water and drain it out. And it also, if that roof gets hot, it will allow air to come up and cool the underside of the roof. The Vulcan vents have an intumescent coating. It's essentially a paint that chars. It grows and closes off the gaps. And so you can't get fire to enter those vents, and you also can't get embers to enter those vents. So it's a really good, cost-effective way to stop embers. The one weakness of Vulcan vents is that they have to get very, very hot for the intumescent coating to block off the airways. And so they make very small holes in the outside of the vents to stop the majority of the embers from entering the house. So that's great. And then we have the siding. So now not only do we have this Shou siding, but we have fiber cement siding around the two outside wings of the house. Tell me a little bit about how that is a great fire barrier.
Yeah, I mean it's a cementitious material. Yeah, really hard to make it burn.
Okay.
And as well, you know, in the process of value engineering what siding you're going to use, it's fairly low cost in terms of siding options,
Right.
and it lasts a long time.
Right. And then you guys are actually putting an air barrier, an air gap that's 1.5 inches deep behind everything. So even if this was the fiber cement and it was getting super, super hot, that heat wouldn't transfer into the rest of the building. And because it's a non-flammable surface, it's essentially a fire barrier.
Yeah.
Right. So that's super awesome. And then I noticed the bottoms of all of your walls are shrouded in metal. That probably is a really good way of stopping fire from lighting the bottoms of the walls on fire, because you're most likely going to get debris blowing in. The clients are not going to be cleaning up all the time. And so that fire is also not going to uh, catch the bottom of the wall on fire or catch anything else. So that was an intentional build as well.
For sure, yeah, and in our close to flat surfaces as well are metal. You know, our window flashings and our roof, like you mentioned. So those are resilient options for when we're talking about stuff, and then for embers to land on or
Right. So that's a really good point. You have some low sloped areas and you have some flattish areas, but nothing's really flat. And so the material, embers and debris is not going to fall on that and just sit there forever. It's going to fall off and drop to the bottoms of the walls. Even your little flat arid roofs are metal roofing. So like, it's going to be really hard for any fireproof materials to light on fire here and start a fire. And so you've developed this multiple phase, multiple stage protection mechanism around this entire house. This is really awesome. I commend you guys. You've done a great job. If you're interested in learning more about fire protection or about building forever houses, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.